Good afternoon and welcome to State Newsfile. I'm Kyle Hutton and Nathaniel Maurice will have sports coming up. But first, let's take a look with Ryan O'Donnell at the weather.
Kyle, it is absolutely beautiful outside right now. The snow that we had earlier today has come and gone. The sun is out, only a few clouds in the sky. Look, I don't even need my winter jacket, and it is January. We'll talk a little bit later about why it's warming up and what we can expect for the weekend. But for now, let's take a look back and forward. So last year, -2 on this day, not too far off from what we have today. +13 back in 2005. Pretty jealous of that. But I'll tell you what I'm mostly jealous of. 1950s. Cool cars, excellent food, music, but I'm not jealous of the weather they had back then. On this day back then, -40. Ugh. Yeah, no, I think I'll stick right here with this nice weather we've got going on. So we'll definitely talk about what's ahead for the Calgary, and yeah, it's going to be good. Back to you, Kyle.
It definitely has been a pretty warm January. So, Mo, tell me about what's going on in the Trojans world right now.
Well, first thing we've got to talk about is the Trojans men's basketball team. They have been on fire. They've yet to lose a game. And who's leading the way? My main man, John Smith Jr., averaging 22 points a game. But on the other hand, our women's basketball team, they've struggled, but they're looking pretty optimistic about what the future can bring.
A little bit of ups and downs there, but let's move on to the top stories today. It's been a major topic of discussion on and off for a few years now. Will we get a new arena at Stampede Park? Calgarians rejected the idea last year, but talks appear to be back underway. Danica Ferris joins us from City Hall. Danica, it looks like this idea hasn't died after all. Is that right?
Yeah, Kyle, there are a few major projects that need to be discussed by City Council with the BMO Centre expansion and Arts Commons on the docket starting tomorrow. But of course, the most high profile of these topics is the possibility of a new arena, which could be built in Victoria Park. There was maybe a glimmer of hope for Flames fans as well as concert goers this morning as we found out that talks have heated back up surrounding a new arena. Ward 6 Councillor Jeff Davison is spearheading a committee that has been exploring the possibility of a new entertainment district just north of the Saddle Dome in Victoria Park. His committee is referring to the possible new building as an event centre, and they're emphasizing that it will be used for so much more than hockey. I talked to Councillor Davison today, and he made it clear that he believes this is a real priority for Calgary.
Thing is, people often think like, you're leading the event center expansion. You must be the biggest hockey fan in the world, and I'm really not. What's funny about this is that I see tremendous value in the building of this district, and so when you look at it, you really need an anchor point. You need that focal building that is really that community hub, and that's really what the event center is.
So, Danica, what do state students think about the possibility of a new arena?
Well, Kyle, as you can imagine, the opinions were pretty split amongst students.
Definitely, because, sports is part of our identity. We definitely need to have, all the resources to facilitate it.
I mean, there's a lot of other projects that they could be investing in.
It just helps build community, helps build like a sense of belonging.
Well, I will say I would like to see the government investing more in more sports.
We'll hear much more in the coming weeks, but as for now, some good news for Flames fans who are enjoying a really good season so far. Back to you, Kyle.
Danica Ferris reporting live from City Hall. Council has a strategic meeting scheduled on Monday to discuss all of those major projects. A Calgary committee is considering privatizing waste removal before any decisions are made regarding outside contracts. Calgary's Utilities and Corporate Services Committee recommends more consultation with the industry. A study examined whether Calgary could privatize waste collection and conclude the city could save money by privatizing a third of the black, blue, and green cart collections. It claims there will be between $425,000 to $1.2 million, or about $1.30 to $3.90 per household per year. Councillor Ward Sutherland says he reviewed the report thoroughly and claims there are discrepancies and understated cost efficiencies. The committee voted 7-1 to recommend council allow the administration to get feedback from the private sector and find more efficiencies from waste and recycling. The report will be ready by second quarter 2020. 34-year-old Jordan Moore was found in the alleyway just behind the 100 block of 15th Street Northwest with a fatal gunshot wound early Tuesday morning. The police conducted investigation the entire day leading into Wednesday, where they began a search in the West Hills area, which was confirmed to be linked to the shooting. Police now have 2 suspects in custody who say that they are related to the shooting, which left Jordan Moore dead after he was taken to the hospital on Tuesday. Neighbors in the surrounding area were shocked that something of this nature occurred in their quiet neighborhood.
There's a little bit with the homeless guys on the corner there, but they're pretty quiet too. They do their thing over there and they disappear and they come back the next day. Other than that, you couldn't find a quieter street. I've been here for almost 30 years. The biggest reason why I bought here was because it's so quiet.
Police have executed search warrants on 3 residences and are continuing to search the West Hills area. A man airlifted to after a hospital accident led into a 2-car highway collision last night. Calgary police are investigating the crash that happened on Highway 564 and Highway 9 near Chestermere. A car was headed eastbound on the Highway 564 when it collided with a semi-trailer truck going south on Highway 9 at 4:45 p.m. Stars say the man was in his 30s, was driving alone, and is currently in the Foothills Hospital, but there is no update on his condition yet. RCMP said the semi-driver was not injured, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation. Identity fraud is something that all of us seem to be concerned with these days, but Calgary police believe they have taken one more step to keeping you safe. Police and Border Services have arrested a man they believe to be linked to a shipment from China. As Andrea Ferrari reports, it contained items that could help someone steal your identity.
In September of 2018, Border Security discovered a package containing more than 3,000 holographic stickers to be put on permanent resident cards in Canada. After a 3-month investigation by the fraud team, they arrested Garrett Glenn English Schleemarker. He was allegedly living under a false identity to avoid warrants for his arrest. CPS and Canadian Border Service agents take fraud offenses very seriously and know they can have lasting effects on victims.
What we believe the criminal was doing, the suspect was doing, was using the fraudulent identities to then obtain credit, and then they would use the credit to monetize the fraud. So, we suspect that we're aware of over 30 victims of identity fraud, and been in contact with those individuals to let them know. But it's significant dollar value once they start applying for credit in those names.
Calgary Police Services say identity fraud can happen to anyone and to never keep things like birth certificate or SIN number on you at any time. And if you're ever worried that something has been lost or stolen, to contact the police immediately. At the police headquarters today, they had a number of items on display that were seized. Items ranged from printers to create false identities, fake identity documents, fake holographic stickers, as well as a handgun that was found during a search. Canadian Border Service agents say these kinds of materials are something they are always on the lookout for.
Our officers are trained, so they do quite a bit of research to pick up on high-risk trends in criminal organizations on what tactics they're using. So for this particular case, when they compared the actual holograms to Canadian permanent resident cards, they were able to identify that it was counterfeit.
The Calgary Police Service has also released a photo of the suspect. They hope anyone who recognizes him will come forward. For State Newsfile, I'm Andrea Ferrari.
SAIT and its Student Association, SAITSA, have made a massive announcement yesterday, one that will have implications on students for years to come. Since 2009, SAITSA has been collecting a student fee that went into reserve fund. With the goal of eventually going towards a legacy project, over 10 years, SAITSA has collected $10 million, and they have been given that amount back to SAIT. 3 years ago, SAIT students voted yes to expand the campus center. The benefits of the funding might not be felt by students immediately, but the lasting effects will have ongoing SAIT focus in the event.
It shows that students care about future students, and they can work together as a team to accomplish some very amazing things. But more importantly, it builds a foundation for us now to work on to build even more opportunities, more capacity to help students, which is absolutely core to what SAIT's about.
The first priority for the $10 million donation is to expand the existing campus's center. You might be a bit biased, but when you say Canada is one of the best countries in the world to live in, but the new U.S. News World Report agrees with you. As Mason DePady reports, its 2019's Best Countries list shows Canada is indeed glorious.
best thing about Canada and the reason that I like it the most is because, we have so much absolute beauty around us.
Canada is the third best country in the world. Well, that's according to a new study by U.S. News and World Report. Switzerland took the top spot for the third year in a row. Japan placed second due to their high literacy and booming tech sector. But Canada took bronze because of our high standard of living. When talking to Canadian citizens, it is clear they love their country.
It's a nice place. People are friendly. Anybody else is friendly around the world. But biggest thing is Tim Hortons.
Because of bigger opportunities and, better government, I would say.
I moved here just because of the schooling system, financial support, kind of like for trades, it's really hard to get that kind of work in the States.
The study was based on 9 categories, ranging from cultural influence to entrepreneurship. Canada did poorly in the heritage and movers categories, but placed 6th in entrepreneurship, 2nd in citizenship, and 1st for quality of life. Quality of life is based on a variety of things, including economic stability and openings in the job market. Canada is resource-rich, and business centers like Calgary contribute greatly to economic success.
An awful lot of stuff's going on. We're transitioning away from the oil and gas sector to some degree, but an awful lot of creative minds here and a lot of young people coming up with new ideas.
Well, it's always nice to be recognized for your contributions. It looks like we have some work to do. For State Newsfile, I'm Mason DePatie.
The Calgary Zoo's penguins were out for a stroll this morning. To the delight of kids and parents, every day at 11, the guys in the tuxedos hightail the trail from January until it gets too warm in the spring. As Christian Oldale reports, it's a way to get up close and personal with the gang from Antarctica.
Nero's dad is here up at the front.
15 king penguins started their walk at 11 o'clock this morning. They came out of their exhibit for a stroll down the zoo path and onto the nearby bridge. The birds are guided by zoo employees while loads of people watch from the sidelines. The 15 penguins are a mix of 10 animals that were born here at the Calgary Zoo and 5 more that came from the Biodome in Montreal while it's being renovated. Those birds are getting older and will stay here at our zoo.
So we decided to have them here doing the renovations, but because they're elderly birds, these is their retirement home and they will be staying with us until they pass.
Get back into their environment. Thank you for joining us.
This year marks the 7th year of the walk, and with the addition of those Quebecois oiseaux, it is the largest group the zoo has ever had. The walk is a very popular site for people of all ages. Many parents bring their young kids to see the penguins waddle and to provide them with some information about the exotic birds. What do you like about the penguins here at the zoo?
Their beaks.
Their beaks? You like the way they walk?
Yeah.
Pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, really funny.
The young onlookers were excited to see the birds trek by them twice before they headed their way to their exhibit for a fishy treat.
Annual Penguin Walk becomes fully available to the public on January 12th, so people from all around can come see these exotic animals and have them waddle their way into our hearts. For State Newsfile, I'm Christian Oldale.
Those are today's top stories. We'll have your full forecast for you after the break. But first, let's have a look at what's going on around Calgary this week.
Food, a basic necessity for everyone, but not everyone can get it for themselves or can afford it for that matter. But this is where Meals on Wheels comes into help. Meals on Wheels is a non-for-profit in Calgary. Their main objective is to promote health and independence in the community. Meals on Wheels does this by providing and delivering quality, nutritious, and affordable meals for everyone in our community. Meals on Wheels values their clients and understands their situation and needs. So short-term or long-term, Meals on Wheels is here to help.
Whether you're an enthusiast or someone who just wants to see how much luxury you can fit inside of an RV, the Calgary RV Show at the BMO Centre is the perfect place for you and your family this weekend. Some of the most talented players in basketball are in town. The Harlem Globetrotters are here to show off their skills at the Dome. Tickets are on sale right now for $40. One of country music's biggest stars has come straight from somewhere on a beach to right here in Calgary. Dierks Bentley is here and will be rocking the Dome on Saturday. Rev 52, a Calgary staple of choir music, is taking you back to the golden age of rock and roll with their Legends show. Come see them cover the Beatles, Elton John, the Rolling Stones, and more. They'll be rocking out at the Bella Concert Hall this weekend. And get ready to celebrate the Chinese New Year with the Chinese Cultural Center. Celebrations for the Year of the Pig start early this weekend. Outstanding. Welcome back. So I mentioned earlier that Calgary's weather is finally improving. However, the rest of the country is looking very strange, just like the winter we've had here at home. Let's take a look at that Western Canada. Now, right now it's pretty standard. Vancouver, 8 degrees and cloudy. Edmonton, though, the snow is rare back, but not too cold. Just -5, so not too much worry there. However, Regina, Winnipeg, high -20s there. The wind chill is high. It is not looking very nice over there, and it's not looking like it's going to get warmer anytime soon. Things on the East Coast, maybe a little bit warmer, but different story. Now, Toronto, Montreal, and Halifax, all of these cities had pretty severe weather watches last week. Now, most of the weather has improved as that polar current has come and gone, but unfortunately, there are still effects in effect. Montreal right now, freezing rain. Be aware of that. And in Toronto, things are getting better, but be aware in Halifax, wind gusts of up to 90 kilometers an hour. Now let's take a look where it's actually nice and warm with the resorts. Palm Springs is looking warm for January. No sun in Barbados, but it is still very warm and humid. Cancun rather soaked with rain all week. Honolulu stuck with some rain as well. Mickey Mouse must be toasty in Orlando as it's 21 there. Vegas finally warming up with a high of 17 today. Today in Calgary, things finally, like we said, getting a little bit better. The snow showers have come and gone. The wind, a little bit gusty there, not too bad. And what's next? Well, what's next is warmth, sun, and clouds, as it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Now let's take a look for Alberta. Most of the province is going to get a little bit better now as the polar current makes its way out of the area. Now, unfortunately, Fort Mac, still very cold up there. So if you got to go up there for work, dress appropriately. I'm sure you're used to that at this point. Now, pretty much all of southern Alberta is very similar in terms of temperature, which means it doesn't matter what mountain you're going to for skiing. The weather this weekend is going to be fantastic. Not a lot of snow on the mountains, but you won't be freezing out there when you actually get out there. So thankfully, not too bad for January in Alberta. Now, let's take a look at the Calgary 5-day. Things getting better. Now, tonight and tomorrow, not too bad. You know, there are clouds here and there. But Saturday, 10 degrees. Look at that. Can you believe that in Calgary in January? I like what I'm seeing. Sunday, can you believe it? We're getting rain and snow mix, and sunny on Monday. Now, let's take a look at those ski hills. Fernie has by far our best conditions. A light base, but the snow is fresh and all the trails are open. If you're looking to ski this weekend, Fernie is the place to do it. Sunshine is lacking actual sunshine, but a nice base of 145 centimeters combined with some decent snow conditions should make up for the dreary weather. Nikiska is looking like a mixed bag with a light base, but by far the best weather conditions for skiing currently. Panorama is finally getting some much needed snow. 12 centimeters has fallen since Monday, but you can still expect a base of just 64 centimeters. Norquay snow is looking a bit fresh with 3 centimeters falling yesterday. Expect your ride down the slopes to be a bit chilly with a high of -9 and strong winds. Lake Louise is looking far healthier than the rest of the hills with a decent base of 109. It is pretty chilly up there with a high of -12 and chilling winds.
Well, that's all for weather and news today, but moving on to sports. Mo, what can you tell me about what's going on in tennis?
Well, first of all, Rafael Nadal, I know he's known as the king of clay, but I believe that it's about to change to king of tennis. Again, another Wimbledon finals, but we'll get into that after the top stories of sports. We're going to start with the Trojans. Our men's basketball team is on fire as they have yet to lose a game this year. They are hoping to extend their winning streak to 14 when they host the Old College Broncos. The boys are sitting atop of the division and the conference. The fourth-year senior John Smith Jr. is leading the way for the Trojans and is scoring ranked third in the ACAC. The last time those two clubs faced each other, St. torched Olds 110-71. Trojans guard Ian Tavis had a team-high 20 points. Still on the hardwood, on the women's side, things are not so good. They have lost 7 of their last 10 games, but it is not due to lack of effort. As a matter of fact, they have allowed 58 points per game, the fewest in the ACAC. Their struggle is due in large part because of their offense, where they rank dead last in the conference at 53 points a game. They will have their hands full tomorrow when they go up against the second best team in the South Division, the Olds Broncos College. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. We switch to hockey now, where our women's team are struggling to find answers of an extremely difficult season. They will face up against Grant McEwen University Griffins, who have the same amount of wins as the Trojans' amount of loss, 12. The ladies have a league-high 50 goals allowed, but the good news, they won their previous matchups against the Griffith by a score of 3-2 in regulation. Grant McEwen is 7-3 over their last 10 games. One's men's failure is another one's success when we compare a men's hockey team with a women's hockey team. The boys are battling for first place tomorrow night when they square off against the Griffiths. The men are tied for second place in the conference with Nate, but with the regulation win, they could move up rank. Both teams are winners of 4 straight games and have an identical record over their last 10 games at 7-3. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. After a tough start, the Calgary Hitmen have found their stride and currently sit in the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. As a result of their improved play there, Hitmen have named three Hitmen have been named to the NHL scouting list. Mark Kostalik, Jackson Vadizlit, and Quinn Olsen are all being recognized for their play so far. Kostalik says he's happy to be noticed, but knows there's still a long way to go.
I mean, it's a nice accomplishment, but in the past, it doesn't really mean much to me because it's not really about where I've been, but it's what I'm trying to accomplish in the end. So I think I don't really read into it too much, but it's nice to see that I'm getting a little bit of recognition.
The Hitmen will host the Prince George Cougars tomorrow night. Game starts at 7 p.m. Still with the Hitmen, the club is honoring their history of Calgary and the hockey in Calgary. They'll be playing 3 games in the old Stampede Corral. Each game will feature a different theme and will honor a different former team that played in Calgary. Jordan Bay was at the Corral today and joins us live from the newsroom. Jordan, tell me a little bit more about what will look like a cool event.
Well, Mo, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a really unique event. They're calling it the Corral Series. The Hitmen will be playing 3 games at the old Stampede Corral, honoring the Calgary Wranglers, the Calgary Centennials, and the WHA's Calgary Cowboys, all teams that played back in the mid-'70s. The games will feature sports announcers and other people that were involved with the teams back then.
I think it's terrific because, you know, they sort of built the road to get these other teams here, including the pro team, including the Flames. That's what really started major hockey in the city of Calgary. In those days, the rink was full. They were screaming. It was the Stampede Corral, but the rink was always full and the crowds were loud, and it was terrific.
The Hitmen will be playing 3 games in the old Stampede Corral. The first one goes February 1st when they host the Brandon Wheat Kings. There are 2 more games throughout the rest of that week. You may recall the Corral because it was the original home for the Calgary Flames when they moved from Atlanta back in 1980. The Hitmen have been getting ready by holding practices at the Corral and trying to adjust to the old rink. The players all seem to know it's going to be a very unique experience.
We're all very excited. I mean, it's something new and exciting. So yeah, we're definitely pretty pumped for that. It'll be really fun, we think, and we're excited to just kind of have that change of scene and hopefully get a boost of energy out of it.
The atmosphere in the Corral is going to be electric, but if you're going to go to those games, be sure you're paying attention because there's no safety netting behind the glass and behind the goals, and the glass around the rest of the ice is very low. When I was at Hitman practice yesterday, I was almost hit by this puck, so make sure your eyes are on the ice and not on your phone. Mo?
Jordan Bay reporting from the State Newsroom. As Jordan mentioned, the games get underway next week. We are heading into the NHL All-Star break. Some NHL news to follow up with that. The Toronto Maple Leafs handed the Capitals their 7th straight loss. Leafs forward Nazem Kadri scored a hat-trick. Caps forward Alex Ovechkin tied Hall of Famer Sergei Fedorov for most points by a Russian-born player. As well, the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Arizona Coyotes 2-1, and former Habs Alexander Galchenyuk made his return to Montreal after being traded in the offseason. The Toronto Raptors fell short last night when they faced the Pacers in Indiana by a score of 110-106. But the biggest news came when the Pacers star guard went down with an injury. Victor Oladipo will miss the remainder of the season after suffering a knee injury. Indiana is sitting in 3rd in the East, trailing Toronto by 2.5 games. Tennis superstar player Rafael Nadal is headed to the Australian Open final. He defeated 20-year-old counterpart Stefanos Tsitsipas 6-2, 6-4, 6-0. Tsitsipas says he admits he was lost all game and could never get into a rhythm. Because Nadal forces you to play bad. Nadal in response says it was a big challenge and hopes Stefanos can still grow. This is going to be the 5th final appearance in this Grand Slam. And that's a look at sports.
After the break, we're going to take a look at the gaming industry. What happens when something fun turns into cyberbullying?
There are hundreds of people living on Calgary streets despite unpredictable weather conditions. The Drop-In Center provides all the services they need to upgrade their life and make it a little better. They provide fresh cooked meals, medical care, and a warm place to stay. The Calgary Drop-In Center is always available to help people in need get back on their feet and start a new and improved life. Contact or donate today at calgarydropin.com.
This is Jackson, and this is Scout. And both of these dogs were once rescue animals. The only reason why was because of their previous owners, not the dogs. At the Cochrane and Area Humane Society, we find good animals, good homes, from their large dog training facilities to the quiet, relaxing cat room. You'll have great spaces to meet and learn about the animals that most interest you. Come check out Cochrane and Area Humane Society today. It's just off Griffin Road.
Lots of people enjoy playing video games to unwind, but what happens when people get too competitive?
I'm Trey Mack. I play games such as League of Legends, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Splatoon. I believe online competitive gaming to be toxic, not only because in games such as League of Legends and Tom Clancy's it is a team-based atmosphere where all players are trying to accomplish an objective, but in League of Legends especially, since you don't have voice communication, stuff breaks down quite fast, and people tend to let their emotions get the better of them. Man, that guy's so toxic. I didn't even hit him. It tends to deteriorate quite quickly into oftentimes harassment, such as calling people homosexual slurs. Competitive gaming especially struggles from racism and derogatory towards people of all minorities.
I know I love to play some video games, but I know people can get a little bit too serious sometimes, and it can kind of ruin the fun.
Especially when they destroy you.
Oh.
I know.
And that's just some salty losing. But from all of us here at State Newsfile, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.